Now batting for your Baltimore Orioles, shortstop, number 13, Manny Machado. That was a familiar sound to Oriole fans for 7 years. But with this all-star shortstop and third baseman came many more consequences in the Baltimore organization pictured after drafting him 3rd overall in the 2010 MLB draft. For today, I'd like to explain how Manny Machado has hurt his team more than helped. Now, I'm not talking just baseball, because when you break it down, there's many more things that can impact a team than solely performance. If I were to sign a player to a contract, I know some of the attributes I'd look for. A team player with a great attitude, and someone who plays the game and honors the game in the right way. I could go on and on. I would like to discuss how Manny Machado's attitude isn't ideal for an MLB team. I'll then go over how Machado is a proven dirty player and looks to injure others. And finally, how Machado has played at an all-star level in his career, however of late, his numbers haven't backed it up. So as most of you know, if you follow Baltimore baseball, or you don't, Manny Machado was traded last season. The one shining light in the dimming future for Baltimore's baseball club. One thing you can say is that Baltimoreans have always loved and adored their young star in Machado. However, when Machado was traded, the feelings weren't reciprocated. In an interview with Sports Illustrated, word came out that stunned many people in the DMV area. Machado, for the first time since being traded, got the chance to express his feelings about the city who drafted him. He said, quote, "The Dodgers last year, they showed me some love. The Orioles drafted me. I did a lot for that community. I did a lot for the state, and they didn't show me a bit of love. It is what it is," close quote. No one except Machado himself knows the reason that he would show such disrespect for a player that the Orioles really took a chance on. After all, Machado did not go to college and wasn't a 5-star recruit per se. So let's transition from the East Coast to the West Coast. So let me start by saying that baseball really does the least amount of physical activity out of any of the 4 major sports. That's probably why I found a love for the game myself. A lot can be said about your attitude and how you play, and by the effort you give on a nightly basis. Now, I understand that playing 162 games as a major leaguer is a lot. I'm not selling that short. But what I will not bypass is a professional in a sport who gets paid millions not to give their all. This is exactly what happened. Not in game 1, not in game 40, not in game 150. No, the postseason. The time of the year that 32 teams fight all through the summer to acquire a spot. I'm not saying Machado didn't deserve a spot on the team. However, for 2/3 of the season, he was on the other coast playing for the worst team in baseball. So skip ahead to Game 2 of the NLCS, or the National League Championship Series. Machado hits a ground ball in which he failed to run out. Fans and members of the media were stunned after his post-game presser. After being asked why he didn't run out the ball, he told reporters, quote, "Obviously I'm not going to change. I'm not the player who's going to be Johnny Hustle," close quote. That's an attitude that cost him a rain of boos for the rest of the series. But the boos wouldn't stop there. We'll get into that in a bit. Let's bring it back to Baltimore. After a game in which tempers flared as Red Sox pitcher Chris Sale supposedly threw at Machado, Manny had some choice words for the Red Sox organization. When asked what he thought about the situation, he said, quote, "It's blanking blank. If you're going to hit me, go ahead. It's blanking blank. I have a blanking bat too. I could go crush someone if I wanted to," close quote. Notice I couldn't say half the words in the press conference. He went on to say that he lost respect for all the organization and it was a cowardly move. As a professional athlete, you must remember that everything can and will be used against you, just like in court. In no circumstances is it okay to address an organization and the media in such profanity. This put him in the limelight for a lack of self-control and a bad reputation on the Orioles franchise. So by those examples, I'm sure you can see why Machado's attitude is not one you want in the MLB clubhouse. So now that we've covered his attitude, let's get to the worst aspect about him, in my opinion, and many players around the league. So in any sport, one of the worst things you can do is try to intentionally injure another athlete. That is something that Machado excels in. For all the non-baseball fans out there, let me explain something called the takeout slide. The takeout slide is when a runner slides into second base looking to break up the double play while taking out the fielder who tries to complete the double play. Machado is a professor of the takeout slot, as Vatz is to rhetoric. They're both pretty dang good at it. However, for Machado, the takeout slide is a dirty move meant to physically hurt an opposing player. Now, this is where the post-game interview from earlier ties in. Earlier in the 2016 season, Machado did the takeout slide on Red Sox second baseman Dustin Pedroia. So when the Orioles came to Boston, that's when the Sox seemingly did throw up Machado. Now, although MLB Commissioner Rob Manfred and all former commissioners do not encourage this move by Boston, by all means, it was coming Machado's way. Now, I told you I would get back to the National League Championship Series. During that same series, as if Dodger fans weren't already holding a grudge for Manny's lack of hustle, he did the same takeout slide to Milwaukee Brewers shortstop Orlando Arcia. So by that time, fans of both teams were displeased with Machado. And if you still didn't think Machado was a dirty player during the series, just wait. While running to first base, Manny Machado intentionally cleated the calf of Jesus Aguilar, the Brewers' first baseman. Brewers outfielder and 2018 National League MVP Christian Yelich expressed his opinion on Machado and the way he plays the game. Yelich said, quote, "He's a player that has a history of those type of incidents. One time's an accident, repeated over and over again, you're just a dirty player. It's a dirty play by a dirty player," close quote. Now, it hasn't just been of recent that Machado has shown dirty, unsportsmanlike acts. Let's go back to when Manny was just at the age to buy an alcoholic drink. In a 2014 matchup against the Oakland A's, Manny took exception to third baseman Josh Donaldson's hard tag. In the series, he also hit A's catcher Daniel Norris several times in the back of the helmet on a backswing without showing any regret or apology. And to cap it off, as many O's fans might remember, the infamous bat throw towards Donaldson, which cost Machado a 5-game suspension. What's worse is that former Orioles executive for baseball operations, Dan Duquette, had to make up for the situation by speaking to Sports Illustrated. He told SI, quote, "Sending Machado to the minors is always an option," close quote. Hold on, I have one more, but I'll make it quick. In the 2016 game versus Kansas City, Machado got a pitch to the head by Yordano Ventura. Immediately, the hot-headed Machado threw his helmet down and charged the mound. Punches were thrown and benches cleared. Both players had to be separated, and both were suspended. So now that you've heard about Machado's attitude and unsportsmanlike character, let's talk about what he makes the money doing: playing baseball. I'm not going to take away from the fact that he's a 4-time All-Star shortstop and a 2-time Gold Glove winner. However, over the past few years, his production just hasn't been up to par. If you haven't heard, Machado at the time set the MLB's record for the largest contract, signing with the San Diego Padres. That is $300 million over 10 years. That equates to just over $185,000 per game, $20,000 per inning, and $3,500 for every single out of the inning. Those are some big bucks, so wouldn't you like to see some production, Padres fans? After receiving the contract and putting on the San Diego uniform, Machado has had over 100 at-bats and is hitting just around .235, which in simpler terms means he gets a hit just over 2 out of every 10 times. For those unfamiliar with baseball, those are not even close to being all-star numbers, which hover around 270 to a 300 average, and that's being kind of generous. Along with that, since 2015, Machado's WAR, or win above replacement, has dropped in every year. According to the MLB website, WAR measures a player's value in all facets of the game by deciphering how many more wins he's worth than a replacement-level player at the same position. To top off Machado's struggling season thus far, it looks like he may be trying to catch up with former teammate Chris Davis. That might be a stretch, but Machado already has 30 strikeouts in 120 plate appearances, compared to his rookie season, which he had 38 in 202 plate appearances. So overall today, you found out why Manny Machado hurts his team more than helps him. From his attitude issues, like dissing the city who drafted him, to getting paid millions and saying he's not Johnny Hustle, to cursing out the Red Sox organization and the media members. Machado is not the person you want on your team. Take when he slides into opposing players to hurt them, or even digging his cleat into the first baseman while running down the line. Machado is a dirty player who causes altercations for no reason, like in the 2018 NLCS. And if you're making the big bucks, you have to perform instead of hitting at a subpar average like he has this season so far. San Diego, it was a big investment. Best of wishes. Thank you.
Okay, let's have some questions. I shall start off. Cannot some of these outrageous activities that Machado has perpetrated be attributed to the fact that he's such a young player, and that young players tend to be this way, and then as they mature, they sometimes kind of calm down and reflect better on their team and themselves?
Sure. I mean, there's a difference between being a young, passionate player and a player who looks to injure others. I mean, you can be a 40-year veteran, like, say, Yadier Molina for the Cardinals, and he's never had an incident almost in his career that's tried to hurt another player.
So you don't buy that it's just age. You think this is the way he is?
Not at all. Take Mike Trout, the best player in the game. He has never had anything put against him, whether it be social media, on the field, nothing, and he's the same age as Machado.
Okay. Other questions? Questions?
So, just provided the information that you gave about Machado, why is he still playing? Why did somebody take him after he was traded? If he's such this terrible player and with terrible stats and terrible record in terms of on the field, why is he still playing?
Sure. I mean, like I said, he is a 4-time All-Star, 2-time Gold Glover. I mean, that doesn't take away from his playing ability. All I was trying to say there is that his numbers have dropped within the last few years. So he did get one of the biggest contracts in MLB history, so he's locked up for a while. But he is a proven player who can play the game.
Other questions? Questions going once? Questions going twice? Thank you very much.